Muscle gain dieting made simple, video number 2 in our probably 10-part series. Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. Let's get going. Today's video, hopefully you've seen video number 1, which should be linked, or actually just on your tab right over to your right or below you, depending on if you're using a cell phone or not. Choosing high quality foods. So in the last video, we talked about standardizing the intake and essentially just getting a measure of how much food you're eating, proteins, carbs, fats, and of course, total calories. If you multiply all those out, and that's cool because now we know how much food we're eating. But that's not enough, not nearly enough, because we want to make sure we take in, those macros are good, and we'll talk about getting more specific macros later, but we don't eat macros, okay? We eat actual foods, and before we start talking about manipulating macros, we need a good baseline of making sure we're eating the kinds of foods that do essentially two things, and one supports the other. Health, which supports muscle growth, and muscle growth. Okay, so there's some food categories that are slightly better choices than others. For example, we want to make sure the macros are the most nutritious we can possibly get, getting us vitamins, minerals, fiber, phytochemicals, etc. And that is going to be really good for our overall health. And good, truth be told, gaining muscle on purpose, especially past a certain point, is maybe not the most healthy thing ever, especially gaining a lot of weight. Gaining muscle is good, but gaining weight isn't that great. You, of course, always have to gain weight, muscle plus fat, before you lean down and turn that just into muscle. So we want to stay as healthy as possible in general. In addition, some foods just grow muscle better. For example, you can have some foods and some sources of food that give you better pumps, which probably supports more muscle growth. In addition, and this is huge, a lot of the foods you're going to eat on your mass gaining plan give you tons of energy because mass gain training is really, really hard. And you don't want to eat foods from sources that kind of slow you down and bog you down. A lot of junk foods do that. Healthier foods and better sources tend to give you lots of energy, especially when you need it, so that you can have the most productive training. So yeah, we're gaining weight by adding calories, but we're going to make sure that the foods we choose, macros aside, are all kind of the better foods for mass gaining, for health, for performance, and for eventually actually gaining you more muscle. So what is the structure there? What are the foods that tend to promote muscle growth the best and health the best and so on and so forth? Well, for protein sources, lean meats are hard to beat. Lean dairy products are excellent. Cottage cheese, yogurt, stuff like that. Greek yogurt is really great. Milk is kind of the massing food of the gods. And of course, lean, high quality vegan sources are also an option. For carbs, veggies are good. You never want to reduce them completely, although we'll talk about later in sort of the trials and tribulations, the struggles part of the video series, where sometimes you want to reduce your veggies a little bit just to be able to get more food in. But a core healthy carb intake revolves around veggies, fruits, and whole grains, including whole grain breads. Those aren't the only foods you're going to be eating on massing, but they'll form the core if you're really pushing your body weight up, really struggling eating. We're going to learn later that you take the whole grains, you reduce them a little bit, take the fruits and veggies, reduce them a little bit, and put in some more refined grains or grains that don't have a fibrous husk, like white rice, for example, or regular pasta versus whole wheat pasta and brown rice. We'll get to that later, but this should be the core of your starting, and then those modifications can be used if they need to be used. Otherwise, if you can gain mass just on pure healthy sources, oh my God, that's all around a great thing. For fats, you want to rely on monounsaturated heavy sources, so sources of fat that are predominantly monounsaturated fat, because on average, for a wide variety of outcomes, those tend to be the healthiest, probably also support the most muscle growth and the least fat accumulation. And there's some direct literature to confirm that. So olive oil, canola oil, nuts, nut butters, avocado, stuff like that. They are also incredibly, fats have 9 calories per gram. And a lot of these healthy fats, like if you put some olive oil in your chicken and rice, it actually makes your chicken and rice taste better and go down easier, but with more calories. That's crazy. So it's kind of like a win-win. A lot of what we're going to be doing is modulating calories by adding carbohydrate later in the series, but adding healthy fats is also a great way to do this, and very healthy and very easy and very cheap and very tasty. So those healthy fat sources are really going to keep in our back pocket. Hopefully not literally you walk around with an avocado in your back pocket. I guess that kind of work if you sit down, it crushes, maybe side pocket. But in any case, we're going to keep those fats on deck, ready to be introduced if we just can't eat any more food and we have to eat a lot more. So now, anytime you eat lots of food for your massing attempt, you're going to choose mostly the healthy sources we just described. We got the macros down. We're counting macros. We don't know exactly which macros we should target yet. We're just doing what we have been. We have the food quality up. We're eating mostly healthy foods now. Next video, we'll make sure that the actual macros we're taking in align with best practices. We'll see you next week for that video. Peace.